Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 3 is coming in 2017. That's all they give me, folks. It's just like some kind of blanket year date. It's coming next year sometime. This is Brent, and he is in charge of the campaign, or the campaign lead.
Yep.
So you have to rally the troops to make us a very fun single-player experience with this game. Is that intimidating? Do you have any experience with real-time strategy of this scale before?
Well, no, actually, this is my first RTS game. I joined Relic over a year ago. But I've got lots of experience in other genres of game, and I think that's something I'm bringing to the table. But yeah, I'm very excited to be working on this kind of game, and it's in particular Dawn of War 3. It's just been a blast so far.
It's almost a little bit difficult to typify the Dawn of War games as just traditional RTS because they're so character-rich. The strategy of resource gathering and all that stuff, it's a part of the experience, but it's a lot more about getting into the mindsets of these characters and being able to kind of play with them like little action figures, right? Is that kind of the idea when you're designing this stuff, to make it much more action-oriented?
Yeah, that's part of the appeal of our style of RTS that we do here at Relic is very much boots on the ground, right? So we want you to be right in the action. We want the characters' motivations and their moment-to-moment sort of just actions, ability usage to be very visceral, very exciting, very intense. So yeah, most of our campaign stuff is about setting up opportunities for these kind of very cool engagements and these encounter spaces that, when you put the units in there and you mix them all up, fun things happen. It's something that challenges players as well as entertains them.
I always love the ease of entry with the Dawn of War games as well. It's not like they hold your hand. They just don't intimidate you or make you feel stupid while you're playing it. I mean, they can beat you down a little bit, but they can kind of gracefully bring you into the experience. And that being said, Dawn of War 1 and 2 are very different games and very disparate, and there's lots of different types of experiences, especially in the single-player campaign. You have all of those expansions as well. So what the hell can you do with Dawn of War 3 that we haven't done before?
Well, the short version of it is we can take the best elements from those two titles and munge them together.
Okay.
So what we've done is taken the large-scale battles, the base building from Dawn of War 1, and the hero units, we're calling them elites now, from Dawn of War 2. We put them together, and with some special secret sauce that we haven't talked about yet, we've created a new experience that I think players will be able to jump into. We can have that ramp up in terms of the difficulty, in terms of the complexity. Certainly that's my job on the campaign side, is to make sure that ramp up and the complexity is nice and accessible. And then they can get to the point where in later missions, it's all out, it's large scale. You can deal with the special abilities of your elites and have them be the battle turners that we were hoping they will be for players.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're stoked.
You're trying to bring back some of the Dawn of War 1 players that may not have liked some of the different choices that Dawn of War 2 took, which I happen to love, and trying to sort of get in the sweet spot, the best of both worlds.
Totally. And you know what? Along those lines, we didn't want to, alienate the Dawn of War 2 players who were playing, right? We wanted to have something that they could hook onto and come back with and sort of say, okay, well, look, those hero characters you liked and the special abilities, because, in Dawn of War 2, those characters were they had played very interesting, unique roles on the battlefield, right? And I think what we've done with our elites is we've given access to that, gateway to that feeling again, but in the context of these larger scale battles. Which is, okay, now they're like, I'm going to say it again, they really do turn the tide of battle, I think, when you use them correctly. And even when you don't, they're just entertaining and fun to see.
Awesome. Well, you're talking about a game series that is, firmly entrenched in science fiction with all kinds of great fantasy sort of directions that you could go. We're also talking about increased horsepower. It's been almost a decade, I think, since Dawn of War 2, right?
It's more like 5 years.
5 years.
7 years, I believe.
Okay, almost a decade.
Yeah.
But time moves fast, especially in the PC world. The horsepower is incredible. So what kinds of unit types are you able to do now with Dawn of War 3 that we've never seen before?
Well, one of the things that we've seen, besides the scale of the battle and the visual readability of the battle, so one of the big things for accessibility is like making sure that players could kind of read what was happening in these large-scale battles. It wasn't just a big murder ball all happening in there. One of the coolest things we've done with the tech is it's enabled us to do things called super units. You've probably seen them in the Celeria, the Imperial Knight that we showed in our E3 demo. She's the biggest unit we ever put on the battlefield. She has awesome abilities like the Iron Storm and the Gatling barrage with 2 big Gatling gun arms waving back and forth and just ruining the day of everything in front of her. She's a blast to play, and we wouldn't have been able to do her in the past at the scale of battles that we want to do. So yeah, it's something that technology has given us the opportunity to do. But also in the environments are much more lush, they're richer than they've ever been, and they're more evocative of kind of interesting battlefields that you can have fun on.
How does the fiction unfold for this game? Is this something that Games Workshop sort of gives to you guys and then you sort of mold it for gameplay, or do you come up with story and present that back? And then if you guys are working like that, can you also create unit types that can then go into the tabletop game?
Yeah, absolutely. What we've done is they've provided a universe, and then we've created characters that work within that universe. As far back as Dawn of War 1, right? So Gabriel Angelos, Maka from the Eldar side, they're characters that we created. The Blood Ravens are a chapter of the Space Marines that were created here at Relic. And only recently, I believe, you can actually now get miniatures, Blood Ravens miniatures from Games Workshop, which is really exciting. But for the most part, they've been awesome in sort of saying, here's a universe, you go play in it, and we'll keep an eye on it, make sure that you stay within our vision of the universe. And they've been great partners towards that. So yeah, we've had the freedom to create characters and chapters and storylines, which is something we're really excited about for this one, because the story we've had some external story consultants come in and work with us and workshop it, and yeah, we're really excited about the story we've got.
That's awesome. How much would you say the breakdown is for people that play the tabletop version of the Warhammer games and your RTS games?
You mean like an overlap?
Yeah. How much of that overlap?
I don't know. I don't think we've ever quantified it. I know that when we look at when we talk to our fans, the demographics kind of break down into sort of, here's the hardcore tabletop players, here's the hardcore RTS players, like just sort of the PC game, and then there's a new demographic we're targeting, which is new players, like new to Warhammer, new to RTSs. So we're sort of, in terms of our mind share, we're thinking about them in thirds.
Right.
So we're going, okay, we want these guys, because we really love our returning fans, the people who play the game before, right? Because they made it possible for us to return. We love the tabletop people because because of their love for the intellectual property. And then with the new players, we just we want to grow the Games Workshop. We want to grow the Warhammer 40K universe for everybody.
Right.
So yeah, we're really excited about these different groups of people and bringing them all together.
So campaign structure-wise, we're talking about Space Marines, then we get to play as the Orcs a little bit, then we get to play as the Eldar a little bit, and bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, so unlike previous campaigns where like maybe you play the whole one whole story arc as the Space Marines, and then the Orcs, and then the Eldar, we're interweaving them. So we've got 3 hero characters, Gabriel Angelos on the Space Marines, Gorguts for the Orcs. Gorguts, yeah. And Maka for the Eldar. And so we've got these 3 hero characters, each with their own very clear desire lines. And what we're doing is we're bouncing between their perspectives, mission to mission. So Space Marines first mission, Orcs second, Eldar third. Cycle back. And so we've got these overall narrative arcs for each character. Gabriel's going to go on a journey over the course of the campaign. But even mission to mission, there's going to be touchstones. So something I did in mission 1 is going to be seen from the Orcs' perspective in mission 2. And they may or may not like that what happened in that thing. But now there's a sort of a moment where they can react to it and maybe choose to do something different based on that.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's almost like this sort of meta RTS that's been happening with the RTS genre in particular. And there used to be a lot of different RTS games that we would play from different companies.
Yeah.
Now Sega owns the 2 companies that make RTS games, and you guys and Creative Assembly are both playing in the Warhammer universe.
Yeah.
What kind of responsibility does that bestow upon Relic and Creative Assembly? You can't speak for CA, but you guys here must feel empowered, but also responsible. You've got to carry forward the RTS purist stuff, the things that RTS fans have always loved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something this isn't our first time to the rodeo. We've been making Dawn of War games for a while now, 12 years. I think we've had a very good partnership with Games Workshop, and being able to come back to the table with this new game with Dawn of War 3, absolutely is a privilege. But yeah, we feel very responsible for it. And one of the ways that we kind of deliver on that responsibility is by communicating a lot with Games Workshop, by communicating a bit with Creative Assembly. Like, we have a very good partnership with them in terms of our relationships within the overall Sega umbrella.
Yeah. How did it end up that Sega owns these two huge RTS companies? It's so crazy.
It's awesome. They've got, and they got Amplitude a couple weeks ago. The French developers of the Endless Space series. They must know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They have a vision for the PC gaming space, and I think they're making a lot of really, well, this sounds self-serving, making a lot of really smart steps towards doing that. But yeah, we're really happy working with Sega, and it's been a great support for the studio, and yeah, it's all good.
Do you think it's a sign that there aren't other RTS games, that maybe the genre is shrinking? Do you think that the fan interest in more real-time strategy is sort of going away, or is it just that you guys have risen to the top, cream of the crop?
That's a tricky one, because I think it's a challenging genre to make. So the cost of entry, if you will, for making an RTS game is fairly steep. Right? There's a lot of units you have to create, a lot of art, a lot of mechanics. You got to put them all together, and then you got to put it out there, right? So, yeah, the cost of entry for making one of these games is not small. And I think what we found over the past is, back when I was younger, right? You had like Westwood, you had Relic, you had Blizzard, you had a bunch of other studios, and many of those studios have kind of gone by the wayside because it's a tough genre to compete in.
Yeah.
Right. Relic is really good at making real-time strategy games of this scale, right? And I think we've done well enough, and the studio's been managed smartly enough, that we have this opportunity to make another one, and we're definitely feeling the pressure to make something cool. Like that's something that motivates us on a day-to-day basis. Like, yeah, we got these, we got killer IP, we've got a great history, we've got a fan base that's clamoring for something, for a new title from us. Yeah, we better put something out there that measures up. So yeah, no pressure, but it's all good.
Well, what's different about a real-time strategy game in 2016? What's unique about the way that you're designing, let's say, the single-player campaign that we've not ever really encountered in RTS before?
Well, I think part of it is the expectations of the marketplace, and by that I mean what people are playing today. The general level of games on the whole has risen quite dramatically from 20 years ago, right? Or even 12 years ago, right? When you look at it, it's sort of like, yeah, there was a time when the genre was reasonably easy to satisfy, right? But now it's much more difficult because you just look at what our competition has done, right? You look at stuff Blizzard has put out, you look at stuff. Yeah, it's and just games surrounding the game space around it. So there's lots more diversions for people's attention. So yeah, that forces us to think about things in a more engaging way with influences from all these other genres of games. It's like when we were looking at, concepting Dawn of War III, one of our big reference points was looking at MOBAs.
Yeah.
Right? We're not in a vacuum, right? They've done very successful. It's a gigantic, exploding kind of genre of game.
And how much did they look at Dawn of War II when they were building up, their League of Legends and their Dotas and stuff?
Well, I'd love to think they looked at it a lot.
Yeah.
But we looked at MOBAs as one of our key reference points, and it's sort of like, well, what's really critical about MOBAs, and that's the clarity of gameplay, the moment-to-moment information being passed to the player in terms of what they're doing, the tells that they're sending to their opponents when they choose the new ability, the tells that they're seeing from their opponents so they can react to it. All of those things kind of fed into our mechanics, into our gameplay mechanics. So when we looked at something simple like a grenade toss, right? It can't be the way it was in the past, which is you see a little pixel flying through the air and a big explosion, because that doesn't give the opponent anything to react to, right? Now, if you throw a grenade at me, at my Gabriel character, it's got a nice tail on it, I can see it, and I can do my retribution ability, shield it, and bounce that grenade back to you and damage you instead of me. And I feel like a rock star for doing that. Yeah. And that's not something we would have gotten by looking at other RTS games. That's something we got by looking at other genres of games, and MOBAs in this case. But something like that reflectability, that's almost like something you'd see in like a God of War.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. There's more of these. It's great. because there's more of these influences coming in and making the overall game much richer.
Well, it feels like also they're tuning that sort of overhead perspective and unit manipulation into lots of different ways, and that sort of leaves the door open to ask, are there going to be modes to, you know, this game that we've never experienced? Is there going to be a MOBA version of Dawn of War III?
Not something we're planning at the moment,
Right.
but why would I take that off the possibility list?
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's we're focused right now on making this game, this RTS, this evolution of the RTS for us, the best it can possibly be. You know, we don't have an endless amount of time before next year rolls around, and we got a lot of content to build. So we're making great progress. And yeah, we'll think about that stuff if this one's total gangbuster success.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some time to wait. Sometime in 2017.
Sorry.
That's where we're gonna get the finished game. So we'll come back and we'll find out a little bit more from you guys.
Awesome.
Can't wait to play this thing when it's done.
Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.